Chapter 18, The Fourth Elder. At the entrance of the mountainside villa, Long Zhanghua and Xiao Lingfeng stood tall against the wind, full of vigor. In that moment, they were the absolute focus of everyone present. Long Zhanghua was the fourth most powerful figure in the Grand Xia nation, commanding the Dragon Nation's war division. Xiao Lingfeng, on the other hand, was the master of the Heaven's Temple, a renowned force beyond the borders. Despite their age difference, each man possessed power far surpassing ordinary war gods, standing among the top figures of their era. Yet, what no one had anticipated was that instead of a confrontation between these two ultimate powerhouses, this moment felt more like a passing of the torch. It was as if Long Zhanghua was transferring the legacy of the Dragon Nation's war division to Xiao Lingfeng. Could Xiao Lingfeng, with his strength and ability, lead the entire war division of the Grand Xia nation? The answer was undoubtedly yes. After all, within just 5 years, he had built the Heaven's Temple, a force nearly equal to the Dragon Nation's war division, and that too without major resources backing him. Now, with the full support of the Grand Xia nation, how much more formidable could the war division become under his leadership? The crowd couldn't even begin to imagine. As Long Zhanghua handed over his and the third elder's insignias to Xiao Lingfeng, his smile grew wider, and the satisfaction in his gaze deepened. For so many years, he had been single-handedly supporting the war division of the Grand Xia nation. But now, he was getting old, and many times he felt overwhelmed. He had long wished to shed this heavy burden, as the pressure was too immense. He not only had to fend off external enemies but also contend with hidden sects within the nation that occasionally surfaced. He was utterly exhausted, and his combat power had reached its peak with no further breakthroughs in sight. Today, upon learning Xiao Lingfeng's true identity, it was as if all the gloom in his heart dissipated instantly. Xiao Lingfeng's current combat power was not far behind his own. The Grand Xia nation's war division had finally found its successor. Child, do your best. Do whatever you want, as long as you don't betray your principles or cross any lines. We old folks in the capital will always have your back, Long Zhanghua said with immense relief to Xiao Lingfeng. Xiao Lingfeng, however, remained silent. In Long Zhanghua's eyes, he saw deep exhaustion. This elder, though still seemingly powerful on the outside, appeared as if he could collapse at any moment. A sense of fatigue was emanating from him, reflected in his eyes. Understanding Long Zhanghua's intentions, Xiao Lingfeng's expression grew solemn. After a long pause, he looked up at Long Zhanghua and said, "Senior, I might not be as capable as you think. I may not be able to shoulder the responsibility of the war division." Ha ha ha! Long Zhanghua suddenly burst into laughter, his voice filled with boundless confidence. He looked around and pointed to the 4 heavenly kings under Xiao Lingfeng's command. "If you are unworthy, then who else in this country is? These 4, even combined, could give me a run for my money." And Wang Chongsheng, after leaving the Heaven's Temple, became the war god of this region. "Are you really going to tell me you're not worthy?" Sweeping his gaze across the crowd, Long Zhanghua shouted, "Tell me, does Lord Xiao deserve to lead the war division?" The moment his words rang out, everyone present, whether from the Heaven's Temple or other groups in the area, felt a tremor in their hearts. Indeed, if a hero like Xiao Lingfeng wasn't qualified, then who could possibly be? But what shocked them more was that Long Zhanghua wasn't just making a casual remark. He truly seemed intent on handing over the Grand Xia nation's war division to Xiao Lingfeng. Xiao Lingfeng was not even 30 yet, possibly just 27 or 28 years old. So young. If he really took command of the war division, he would be the youngest elder in the history of the Grand Xia nation. The crowd was left in awe, and Shen Qingtian, who had made the right choice earlier, was now trembling with excitement. He was on the verge of hitting the jackpot. If he could cling tightly to Xiao Lingfeng's influence, his Shen family might one day become one of the most prominent clans in the country. Tears welled up in his eyes as his entire body seemed to burn with anticipation. Long Zhanggue, after his declaration, turned back to Xiao Lingfeng and said, "Child, think of the brothers who follow you. They are all top-tier warriors, and they all hail from the Dragon Nation. We have a saying, fallen leaves return to their roots. I believe if you take over the war division, they would be delighted." Xiao Lingfeng furrowed his brows, thinking for a long time before finally replying, "Thank you for your kindness, senior. But I don't want to take on any responsibilities now. I have a daughter, who is waiting for me at home, and someone I've wronged deeply. There are many things I still need to do. I just want to be with them." As he spoke, Xiao Lingfeng's voice grew hoarse. Deep down, he had always seen himself as a citizen of the Dragon Nation. If the country ever needed him, he would step up. But right now, all he wanted was to go home, to be with his daughter and make amends to the one he owed so much to, Wei Wei. Long Zhanggue paused, his expression becoming more complex. In that moment, he recalled the photo he had seen of Xiao Lingfeng, holding his 4-year-old daughter, covered in blood, fainting near a pigsty. Ah! Long Zhanggue let out a roar of frustration, his fury directed at the Zhou family for tormenting Xiao Lingfeng. In a fit of rage, he moved swiftly to Zhou Zhenghao, striking him down with one palm and wiping out the entire Zhou family's bloodline with a single swipe of his blade. Long Zhanggue then turned to Zhou Fei, who was now terrified. "Zhou Fei, if you ever want revenge, come for me." Zhou Fei dropped to his knees, trembling, and vowed, "I wouldn't dare." Afterward, Long Zhanggue reassured Xiao Lingfeng that no harm would come to him or his family as long as he and the other elders remained in the capital. However, his final words echoed in Xiao Lingfeng's mind: would he one day take on the mantle of the Grand Xia Nation's war division? Would he?